Number 12. Silicone poisoning. Some people just don't know when to stop getting plastic surgery, but one model got a wake-up call when a snake literally died because of the silicone in her body. On March 3, 2011, an Israeli model named Orit Fox was doing a photo shoot with a snake. The theme of the shoot was becoming one with nature. The photo shoot started off pretty well and the model looked comfortable despite a snake slithering all over her body. But things went south fast when she decided to lick the snake's face. The snake wasn't really into it and got upset and decided it was going to return the favor by biting her breast. Chaos erupted and the model started screaming and the staff didn't know what to do. They managed to get the snake off the woman and she was taken to the hospital where she got a tetanus shot. Sadly for the snake, things didn't end too well. It actually ended up dying from silicone poisoning because of the model's breast implant. Number 11. The devil. Snakes are typically used to represent the devil in the Bible. So at the Pentecostal church in Jensen, Kentucky, pastors decided to use deadly rattlesnakes as part of their sermon in order to show their intense devotion to God. Apparently they thought God would save them from any kind of harm, but things didn't work out. This is actually a strange family tradition that's been passed on inside this church. All they do during the sermon is preach loudly into a mic while the snakes move near them. National Geographic filmed them while they were doing the sermon once, and it showed a pastor's finger getting bitten. But instead of rushing to the hospital like a normal person, he decided to let it be. Later, his finger started to rot and turn black until the bone snapped right off. In 2015, things got even worse than they already were when one pastor decided to hold the actual snake. Obviously, he got bit on multiple parts of his body, but he never went to the hospital. Unluckily for him, God didn't save him, and he died soon after. Number 10. Man-eater. While snakes are considered very dangerous creatures, they aren't usually known for eating people. Sadly, that's exactly what happened to a 10-year-old boy near Durban in November 2002. The 10-year-old and his friends were picking fruits when a snake wrapped itself around the child. The 6-meter or just under 20-foot African rock python managed to swallow him whole. This ended up being the first known time a species of this particular snake had ever eaten a person. As their friend was being eaten alive, the other children were hiding in a mango tree. They didn't run because they were too scared. Thankfully, the police arrived soon after, but the investigators didn't find a trace of the boy anywhere, not even his clothes. 11-year-old Kaye Buthelezi, who witnessed the attack, visited the site. He led the police to the exact location where his friend had been swallowed whole. But they never found the snake. Craig Smith, the owner of the snake park near the area, is trying to find the snake himself. According to Smith, the snake had most likely just woken up from its winter hibernation and was very hungry. Number 9. Regret. On September 25, 2017, a Russian zookeeper and YouTuber died after committing suicide by having a black mamba bite him on a live stream. Just a few months before the incident, Arslan accused his wife Katya of cheating on him. He beat her up so badly that she got a concussion, and after this, she left the house and filed for a divorce. But Arslan was still desperate for her attention and called her many times. He decided to start a live stream on his YouTube channel and apologized for hitting Katya. He said he would rather die than live a life without her. After this, he picked up a black mamba and let it bite his finger. Then he gave his wife's number out on the live stream and told the viewers to call her so he could see her one last time. Arslan ended up stumbling onto the streets where he begged for help and was taken to the hospital, but it was already too late. Katya got a call from one of Arslan's subscribers and rushed to his house, but he was already dead. She was actually the one that stopped the live stream. She said that she loved him even though they had their differences. She also admitted that she hadn't watched the live stream and couldn't bring herself to. Arslan's father blames Katya for his death, saying she always had the poisonous snakes around. But his mother said Katya wasn't even there and that it wasn't her fault. She even said Katya was like a daughter to her and that she would take care of her from now on. Number 8. Making the impossible possible. July 8, 2014, Timothy Levins and his family went camping at Sam A. Baker State Park. While Levins and his son were roaming the area, they found a snake. According to his son, Levins picked it up to show it off, but it bit him. After the bite, Levins went back to his cabin, washed his hands, and sat on the couch. But after just a few minutes, his 13-year-old daughter found him shaking uncontrollably. After some panic, a neighbor came and gave him CPR. But by the time he was taken to the hospital, Levins was already dead at just 52 years old. The strangest part is that Levins died from a copperhead snake. While copperheads do have venom, humans are considered immune to their poison. At most, it can hurt you, but it shouldn't actually kill you. The doctors ruled that Levins died from anaphylactic shock because of the snake bite. According to the Missouri Department of Conservation, you're more likely to die from space debris than a bite from a copperhead snake, so don't worry too much. Do you know anyone who's been bitten by a snake? Let us know in the comments and subscribe if you want to see more. Number 7. Ultimate Betrayal. Pythons are considered harmless snakes since they don't carry venom and have no fangs that they can hurt you with. This is why many people keep pythons as pets. But sometimes even harmless things can cause a lot of pain. 31-year-old Daniel Brandon liked to take pictures of his African rock python on his shoulders and post them to Instagram. But on August 25, 2018, Brandon's parents heard a loud thud come from his room. They just assumed he accidentally dropped a dumbbell while working out, but when his mother went to check on him, he was dead on the floor with a snake hiding under a table. Brandon died from asphyxiation after the snake wrapped itself around his neck. After his death, Brandon's friends decided to set up a Just Giving page so that they could raise money for the Worldwide Fund for Nature in his memory. Brandon always loved all kinds of wild animals, from cats to spiders, so when his parents needed a photo for his funeral, they literally couldn't find one that didn't include an animal. Many experts have said that people should not keep African rock pythons as pets anyway, since they're the biggest kind of python and can grow to up to 7 meters or about 21 feet and weigh over 90 kilograms, just under 200 pounds. Number 6. Lucky. 25-year-old Kevin Katoka accidentally ran straight into a huge python while driving his excavator through some bushes near a salt mine. The incident happened in northwestern Namibia, and the driver said the snake was on him in no time. Since the snake was massive, it threw him to the ground with little fight. While it was coiling around him, Katoka started biting it in hopes of escaping, but nothing was going his way. Thankfully, he remembered the small knife in his pocket and quickly got it out. He stabbed the snake and it started loosening its hold, but by then Katoka was already too weak to do more. He got so weak that he started coughing up blood as the snake was ready to swallow him whole. Luckily for Katoka, 2 co-workers saw him while he was being attacked. They killed the snake and took Katoka to the hospital where he was treated for his injuries. According to him, he'll probably never be the same and says he thinks he'll have to recover from his injuries for the rest of his life. Number 5. Snake Collector. 70-year-old Jack Redman liked to take care of snakes in his free time. Apparently he had over 40 of them and 24 were venomous. They all lived in a spare room in his house. One time when Jack's wife checked up on him, she found him dead on the floor. Turns out a Chinese Pamviter bit him, which led to his death. Afterward, the snakes were taken to the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries since it was illegal to keep venomous snakes as pets. They found a new home there that wasn't just some random person's spare room. According to experts, the snakes were pretty healthy. They said Jack clearly knew how to take care of them properly, but he let his guard down for a second too long while caring for a viper. This is pretty weird considering Jack had been studying snakes since he was a child. On top of this, vipers are known for being dangerous. Even those who don't know much about them know not to feel safe next to one. Because of this, some speculate that Jack committed suicide since he was suffering from a terminal cancer. Number 4. Expert Failure. On September 25, 1957, someone from Lincoln Park Zoo took a 30-inch or just over 75-centimeter long snake to the Chicago Natural History Museum in hopes of finding out what it was. Snake expert Carl P. Schmidt was working in the museum at the time and decided to take a look at the creature. He realized the snake was an African boomslang, which is known to be one of the most deadly snakes in the world. Despite this, the expert was skeptical about it really being one and wrote in his journal that he wasn't convinced because the snake's anal plate was undivided. Thinking it was harmless, Carl picked it up and it bit him. Instead of going to the hospital and getting treated, Carl noted down all the symptoms he was going through. He didn't go to the hospital all day and wrote about getting nauseous and throwing up. He even started feeling better by the end of it, but by lunchtime the next day, quote, excessively was the last thing he wrote in his diary. He vomited and called his wife for help. But by the time she arrived, he was unresponsive and pronounced dead. According to the autopsy, Carl's lungs, eyes, heart, kidneys, and brain were all bleeding. Carl was actually told to get medical attention hours before it got this bad, but he said he didn't want to go. Stubbornness killed the scientist in this case. Number 3. Strangled. In October 2019, a 36-year-old mother of 2 was strangled by her 8-foot or just under 2.5-meter python. The woman actually owned 140 different snakes, and she even designed a house specifically for them, which was owned by Don Munson, the Benton County Sheriff. Munson said he found the woman, Laura Hurst, dead on the floor with a snake wrapped loosely around her neck. While he was able to get rid of the snake, Munson was unable to bring Laura back to life. Apparently, the snake had been out of its enclosure for unknown reasons, while all the others were still somehow in their cages. The autopsy revealed Laura died from asphyxiation because the snake strangled her. According to some of her friends, she had a real passion for snakes and loved them like her children, but that was also the one thing that led to her death. Number 2. Local snake expert. Wade Westbrook was a 26-year-old man with a strange snake obsession. Back in January 2011, one of Wade's friends brought a venomous copperhead to his house to find out the gender. Poisonous snakes are obviously illegal to keep, and you need a permit to transport a snake, so this whole situation was incredibly illegal. Wade was considered, quote, the local snake expert in Tennessee. While he wasn't academically qualified, he knew everything you really needed to know to be a snake expert. Wade ended up getting bit by the venomous snake and tried to extract the venom himself. It didn't work though, and he fell unconscious. When the paramedics arrived, they gave him CPR and did everything they could, but he was pronounced dead on arrival at Erlanger Hospital. It's fitting that the snake master fell victim to a snake. Number 1. Potential. Texas is one of the only states that actually lets people own dangerous animals that should only be kept in the wild. Just as long as these people have permits though. Grant Thompson and his parents happened to own a pet shop in Temple, Texas. They also lived in the apartment building right next door. Grant used to transport snakes and tarantulas in his car for his business, and his final transportation would be with a giant cobra. For some reason, Grant took the snake out of its container and let it bite him everywhere. According to police, Grant likely committed suicide since it didn't look like he pulled away from any of the bites. On top of this, Grant was known to have a long history of depression. The snake wasn't found until a few days after it killed Grant, and it was still in the pet shop's parking lot. Thanks for watching. Which of these stories did you find the craziest? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to hit subscribe for more. See you next time on The Bad Badger.